On today's episode of Real Hoop Hours, we're talking about sellers at the trade deadline, and then we got Team of the Week. After that, we're hopping into Real Hoop Hours discussing, can teams win with a extremely high usage player in the playoffs, in the regular season? Is it good for the player? Is it good for the coaches? Who is it good for? Is it good for the fans even? But after that, we're getting into our therapy session, immediately followed by our starting five draft of historical figures. Yes, you heard it, historical figures. So don't go anywhere. Let's ride.
Welcome to Real Hoop Hours. How y'all doing today? Nick, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good, dude. Physically, a little under the weather. Mentally, just like Cloud9, just ready to attack this show.
We go.
Ready to attack this show like it's someone's top foot.
Oh, hold on. Write that down for later.
Yeah, we're gonna hold on to that one. We're gonna trademark it.
I was about to say, I hope y'all had a great time on Thanksgiving. All right, we didn't have a show last week, but we come back this week ready to go. And, and just to know, just waste no time getting us right into Good Morning NBA. Nick, would you like to introduce the topic for today?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some buyers and sellers. So we're going to be looking at mostly the bottom of the league, but there's one or two teams that are not bad teams, but have some guys that we think that they could move and add a better piece to fit. But
there we go.
We'll start with your very own Washington Wizards team.
Yes.
Who do you think they're looking to deal here?
Half the basketball team is up to get dealed, but the person that is most likely going to get dealed is Kyle Kuzma, for the simple fact that he pretty much is not a part of what we want to do going forward, but he's also somebody that a lot of teams can utilize. But even another element to that is that nobody knows if Kyle Kuzma wants to hoop for real and if he just wants to kind of just mess around. So that kind of messes his trade value a little bit also. And I don't think a lot of people understand that that's a real part of his trade value does he want to seriously play?
Like mindset, yeah.
Play
is he ready
basketball.
To buy in somewhere? And you never know. I mean, I don't know if you remember him early in LA, like with the Lakers. There was a quote, where he was like, they were talking about, hey, do you feel like you need to be a leader on this team? And this was like the BI, Lonzo, like Kuzma days. And Kyle Kuzma was like a second round pick and kind of like just burst onto the scene as like, oh shoot, this dude, he can really play. And really he was like, yeah, I got to be a leader. Like, BI doesn't open his mouth. Lonzo doesn't really talk to anyone. Yeah, I got to be a leader. It was pretty wild. And I was like, wow, like this dude, to be able to, like, maybe is it wise to call your teammates out like that in a press conference? Like, no, but sometimes they need to hear it. And like, he was like a no nonsense, like, I'm going to go out there and do what my team needs to do to win. And now it's just like, what is he doing? Like, is he just perma-fried now? Is he a part of that group?
I think he felt like a finals run. Yeah, that finals run probably desensitized him in a way where it's just like he probably was just having fun hooping, and then like he had to go on a finals run, and then he's like, "Oh, this isn't fun." And then he went to Washington, and he's like, "Oh, this is more fun.
This is fun."
And then because he does smile and have fun in Washington. It doesn't matter what we're down 40 or it's literally a close game. Kuzma's having a great time, and I feel like, and that's why I feel like weirdly, what happened to him is that, like, when you feel what is necessary to be a finals team, some dudes just don't like that, and that's why I'm sitting there with Kuzma, and that like some teams might literally be scared of him for the simple fact that he hasn't played real basketball in a long time. Like we're sitting about 3 to 4 years now, so I would say that I hope his value is as good as a lot of teams say it is. I think somebody said that the Heat are looking into him, which would be a very weird fit. Uh, going from Washington to the Heat, that's a real
It's a
transition.
very
I
different
don't.
situation for him.
Yeah, he's getting sent to boot camp within days. That's like getting sent to boarding school after you literally was at public school having the greatest time of your life. Like, so I like the fit talent wise. It's just culture wise. That's gonna be real different for him.
Yeah, that would be a culture shocker for sure. But I like that segue. Let's jump right into the Heat as well.
Mm-hmm.
And unless there's someone else you wanted to talk about from the Wizards.
I could say Jonas, Malcolm, Jonas Valanciunas and Malcolm Brogdon also.
Yeah,
but
big contracts too.
Big, but they're
Mainly
big
Malcolm.
contracts.
Malcolm's
so
making $22 million a year, bro.
So they're big contracts. So I don't actually expect them to get traded.
Yeah,
but they are up. But Kuzma's
you
the
pay
one.
somebody.
That's the exactly.
Yeah.
So Kuzma's the one that people are actually going to kind of want. So
yeah,
I'm
Sadiq
just
could be a nice
Kuzma.
little throw in as well.
Yeah,
Marvin Bagley's making $12 million a year, dude.
I mean, I didn't wait 12.
12 and a half.
I never knew that.
Actually,
yeah. Oh my god, it's got even more. Okay, I didn't know that at all. Actually, as a Wizards representative, I didn't know he was making 12. Last time I checked, he was making 8. I might have been looking at somebody else.
Yeah, bro. Him and Rashawn Holmes are both making about $12.5 million a year.
Oh God, what do we do? You know what? You go with the Heat before I go crazy.
Well, I like this because you put it on our list here. But you put down Terry Rozier for the Heat. Yes. I do think that's interesting because it seems like the Heat added him. And you're like, whoa, and it's this classic thing that all basketball fans will do to some degree, some people more than others. If you're listening to this show, you're probably a smart person. You probably don't do it that much. But you think, good player on good team equals better team. But
yeah, but fit.
Does it work just because seems like such a ball dominant guy? And on a bad team, he can be a ball dominant guy on a bad to play in level team. It's yeah, he can be the best player on your team and you can expect to perform within that area with your peak being a really good, like frisky playing team. But
yeah,
when you add him to a team that has championship aspirations that people forget went to an NBA finals 2 years ago, right? Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yes. And then went 2
Granted,
years
they got smoked, but they went to the finals.
Yeah.
They did the Weenie Hut Junior walk through the East like every team does. But it's that doesn't it didn't fit. It doesn't really make a ton of sense. And now you got a guy that's eating up some of your cap that you've learned. Is it better to have him to split up the on-ball time of Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, even Kyle Lowry? As a true point and give Terry those possessions that Terry needs to be who he is. But I thought that was interesting. And I'm just what kind of guy would you plug in there? I have a few thoughts, but who do you think that they need if they were to dish Terry, and who do you think they could get?
Now that's the thing is that he is up for trade. I just don't see the equivalent getting back. You mean in the way of that, somebody like Malcolm Brogdon for the Wizards is somebody that would actually be a good idea for them. But would the Wizards want Terry Rozier? And that's where the problem is that it's but the problem with the NBA and kind of the fans is that a lot of people think that teams want bucket getters more than they actually do.
No, it's you need 2, maybe 3, stone cold killers. And then you need a bunch of role players. That's it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that Terry Rozier, it seems like his value is high because who wouldn't want to do that can get a bucket on anybody? But a lot of teams already have that role figured out. And as much as I don't think the Wizards have that figured out because we only really have Jordan Poole as the dude that we want, but we have young dudes that we want to have those possessions. We have Bub Carrollton, Keyshawn George, and then on top of it, we're trying to get Alex Sarr up to speed with both of them. We
like
can't
Bub
really
a
have
lot.
possessions. Yeah, and the thing is, like, I want Bub to be a ball dominant point guard, but at the same time, I do want him to have possessions to be able to be himself and get a bucket himself. That's not going to happen with Terry on the team, and that's where a lot of teams are going to be weird. Like, I would love to see Malcolm Brogdon in the Heat jersey. That would be amazing. I would love to see probably, or if he, I don't know where his value is right now, but I actually do think Trey Mann. I would love to get him in a Heat jersey.
Here's what I think the Heat need more of. I think they need, like, I like that idea. I just like, I mean, obviously, as basketball fans, it's like take a bucket getter and then put him on an already good team. You're like, whoa, oh yeah,
that's what the brain needs right there.
But I think like what the Heat really need is they need a really good 3-and-D forward. Which you can look at almost any team. Like, yeah, they could use another one. But when you look at the Heat's forwards, it's Nikola Jovic, it's Duncan Robinson, it's Josh Richardson, like old ass Josh Richardson.
Still hooping.
And Pell Larson, like it's and Alec Burks. I can go. The list goes on, but it's one way or the other. It's 3-point specialist / like maybe like crafty offensive guy, and or like defensive dog that is a minus on the offensive end. So, and sorry, I gotta clear my throat. I've been microdosing NyQuil for the past week and a half, dude. It's taking a toll on me.
Heavy on micro.
Dude, NyQuil honey, no free ads, but NyQuil honey is next level stuff. Crazy. Highly recommend. But like imagine a John Collins in Miami. Maybe not John Collins, maybe something a little more guardy. Maybe a lot like and this takes me to our next team that we were going to talk about, the Jazz, like Lauri Markkanen. And this isn't a guy that they're going to be willing to sell, Utah, but Cody Williams, that prototype of player, that 6'9", like obviously defensive upside right now, but even a Dorian Finney-Smith, dude. Dorian Finney-Smith right now in Miami would feed families. He's exactly what they need.
That's
like,
true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So I like that kind of guy in Miami right now. And I figure like, they really only have two guys that do a lot of creating for them. It's Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and I guess Terry as well. But if you are going to deal Terry, and you can get a cheaper bucket getter than Terry, I would just Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Thomas type deal.
Yeah. I feel like the Nets are going to hold on to Cam Thomas as long as they possibly can. But
we're just going to. I think they're going to lose him. It's like get something for him. He's a free agent next year, I think. So it's like you can lose him or you can get something for him. He's not resigning in Brooklyn. That's for sure. But
because my mindset with Terry is that if I deal Terry, I want somebody that can perform like him, but just in a way that they can fit the basketball team, where they don't need to be stationary in an isolation situation, that can play in secondary catching opportunities. That's where I possibly would want. That's why I say somebody like Trey Mann, who hasn't really came on in Charlotte the way I wanted him to. I will admit I wanted a little more out of him, but I would just like to see a dude like that.
How many shots are there left after LaMelo takes 40 a game, bro?
And then Brandon Miller's getting him up too. It's not really much for him at this point, and that's why I want somebody that showed discipline in OKC that I would like to see in a situation where the Miami Heat would want him to play his game. They would force him almost to play his game. But I do love the idea of just getting the 3-and-D dude in there, just somebody that actually gets both ends. Because like Highsmith is somebody else that I will say is as close as they have really to that, but Highsmith is even
pretty much
a little awkward offensively. So
he's not going to give you anything more than what you know he can do. Like he's a crafty guy. He's going to shoot it okay from deep. He's not terrible when he puts it on the floor, but I don't know. I feel like you don't need another guy that can put it on the floor and be dynamic. It's like you need a guy that plays really good defense and is going to shoot like 40% from the corner.
Yeah.
That's the reality, I think, in Miami. How is Miami right now? I haven't looked at their record in a hot minute. Are they still in
they go up and down the standings all the time because they go on win streaks and losing streaks. Like it's you check Miami, they might be 10. Next second, they're 4th.
They are in 6th right now. They're
6th, yeah.
They're 9-9, so they're a play-in team in the West.
Yeah,
they would be in 11th in the West.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they're playing in the West.
Yeah.
It's a bloodbath.
Just barely out of the play-in in the West.
And that's why I'm thinking about Utah and their dudes that they can ship out. And it's obvious for them when it comes to Clarkson and Collin.
Yeah.
But Collin's a weird. You know what? I will admit this right now. I don't know what Collin Sexton's trade value is in any way possible.
I think it's high. I think it's very high. I got to look at his contract real quick, but as a guy.
That's the reason why I'm so confused. Is his contract bad? Because
let's see.
I can't lie. I haven't checked on Collin Sexton in a minute. And Jordan Clarkson, I already know teams. Every team needs a Jordan Clarkson, if they can. So, but
and the Jazz are weird just because they play really, really pretty basketball. They're just so young, and they got a lot of dudes they're just trying to get them reps, and then seems like they're trying to lose. They're trying to lose on purpose. But
sometimes it feels that way.
Keontae George is awesome. I think they sent Cody Williams to the G League, who's he's playing well. They're just sending him to the G League because why not? If he's gonna help us win, and we think we can show he's wanting to develop, send him to the G, and then lose games, get another pick
immediately. I think Taylor Hendricks is injured right now.
He's out for the season. He broke his leg in half, compound fracture. It was gross.
Something crazy happened, and then I because I was really happy he was on the floor. And then I forgot to check on bro, but out for the year is definitely lined up with what I thought.
And I know because of 2K that you cannot trade injured players. Always tried to do it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, no, literally me too. I used literally the second they got injured, I tried to trade them. Nah.
Jazz also have well-known Olympian, gold medal Olympian Micah Potter on their roster. Doesn't get tick. Plays 0 minutes. Do you remember Micah Potter? It was two.
You just
Langston Galloway and Micah Potter were on the Olympic roster and played garbage time minutes.
I didn't know he was actually on a team.
He looked good too, and he was knocking down shots, man.
I was to say, bro is he got a gold medal. That's what matters at the end of the day. But wow,
show off the hardware, man. Get an A on the group project, even if you don't do anything.
I would be flexing myself, but
for real.
I'm trying to think of another team that maybe that really should be selling at this moment,
and that we talk about them quite a bit. The Pelicans. Oh, the Pelicans are at the bottom of the West. They are 4-17. You can't trade DeJounte. You just got him, dude. They called up Elfrid Payton, and he went crazy.
21
Granted, everyone's hurt, so that sucks. It was literally they trotted out the other day when the Mavs played them. The Mavs smoked them. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised because I look at the box score. It's Trey Murphy. Who else was out there? It was BI, Trey Murphy, and a G League team. Legitimately.
Yeah, they scored 28 at the half against the Knicks.
Dude, they're
getting whooped.
Willie's unfortunately, and I don't know if it's really fair, but because I think this is
you can't judge a coach off of that.
Yeah, but I think it's a poorly constructed team at the end of the day. You just got a bunch of parts, and just these puzzle pieces will probably connect, and you just threw them together, and you haven't gotten to see it all put together yet. But I do think Willie's going to get fired. Unfortunately, I don't think he's a bad coach.
Yeah, and if he gets fired, then they're going to start moving some pieces around immediately.
Yeah,
for the next coach, and that's what the thing about the Pelicans.
too.
Yeah. That's the thing about the Pelicans that's rough. I forgot they were that bad. I remember them being terrible. But to have 2 more wins than the Wizards is, man.
Diabolical.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I forgot it was that bad. But I will say that for the Pelicans, the main thing for them obviously is health. But other than that, it's vibes because they don't even feel like a team.
Bad
That
vibes.
even just terrible vibes. They don't feel like a team.
Them
They
in
feel like a
Philly,
whole bunch of
bad vibes.
dudes.
Utah, good
Yes,
vibes. Seemingly good vibes.
good vibes. Terrible team. Wizards last
Even
year.
Trailblazers, decent vibes.
Yeah, there you go. That's what matters. See, like Wizards last year, good vibes, absolutely god awful.
Yeah.
This year, bad vibes and we're awful. That's like, hey, what's going on, guys? Now we had to bring it up. That's the thing about the Pelicans is that none of these dudes feel like they're actually a team right now, and that's why it feels like even when they do get healthy, they're still gonna be bad. Versus like just feeling like, oh, we just need to get our dudes back on the court. It doesn't feel like they're gonna be good even when they get back on.
I mean, it is tough to like judge. I want to say all this stuff about like, yeah, when you're a pro and you don't feel like you can win, you're like, why would I put my body on the line, and sacrifice an opportunity to make more money and like get hurt and do this or that? It's like, if I'm not even gonna win, so
Yeah,
but also like they haven't had like anyone play. Like they just
anybody
like last game started getting some of their guys back. I think DeJounte's playing. I saw CJ played recently. I don't know if BI may have gotten hurt again. I don't know. I might just be talking out of my ass, but I feel like I saw more guys on the court somewhat recently for New Orleans.
Yeah.
But
we'll say the last 8 to 9 games for the New Orleans Pelicans, I have no clue what's happening.
Yeah.
So your guess
Alfred
is
had 20
mine.
dimes. He had 10 assists at the half.
Hey, I saw Alfred had 20 dimes, and I'm like, hey, you know what? This is amazing. And then I saw
I
he
guess
played
they're
for the
hooping
Pelicans.
out there in New Orleans.
Yeah. I assumed they were better. I was like, hey, if Alfred Payton's give me 20 assists, they must be hooping. No, 4 and 17.
I just don't even see anyone that you could possibly deal really in New Orleans either.
You just got to keep running it back.
People don't want BI. Honestly, for $36 million a year, people don't want BI. DeJounte, you can't trade him. You just traded for him.
Yeah, can't trade him at least till halfway through the season, right? Is that the
maybe CJ? Maybe it is halfway through the season. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. There's a rule where you can trade, trade players you just got. It's the Danny Green rule, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Where you made a mistake and you're like, oh, okay, let's try to get rid of this dude, and then there's like a day where it opens up right before the trade deadline. Yep. I gotta look into it, but honestly, it wouldn't make sense for them to trade DeJounte. I say weirdly, Trey Murphy would have a ton of value.
If you're not trying to be competitive anymore and you are trying to tank, but I feel like the Pelicans are still trying to be like, no, we need to still win.
Because it can work.
Yeah.
It definitely can work. It's just like they have to play.
Well, regardless of what the Pelicans decide to do, it'll probably be a bad move. But let's move on to Team of the Week. I'll let you go first. Who is your Team of the Week for this good week in the year of our Lord, 2024?
Yes. For this week, after Thanksgiving, I will have to give my Team of the Week to the first college basketball team to win this award, the Colorado Buffaloes.
Hey.
Give it up for everybody. And I'm not talking about the football
Buffaloes.
team. Yes, I'm not talking about the one with Shedeur Sanders. I'm talking about the one that just beat UConn. And I got to say that I watched that game, Nick, and I got to tell you, it was some of the most beautiful basketball I've ever seen in college basketball recently. And you talk about UConn and how amazing of a look.
I'm a UConn Blazer.
Team. I mean, you could talk about UConn all day.
I'm a Daddy Hurley guy.
And as much as I sit there and I'm not going to sit here and glaze UConn, I got to admit, Colorado matched that energy of we're going to play a good brand of basketball, and it led to them one of the most eye-pleasing games I've seen in a while.
That's a crazy way to say that.
Oh my God. I was sitting I literally couldn't stop watching the game. It was great cuts, great back cuts, amazingly timed passes, great sets that were crisp, clean, on time. I saw mid-play decisions by players to set up shots for somebody else. I saw the point guard, Julian Hammonds. He made one play where he got around the screen, called for another screen so that the screener that was just rolling could get back to the corner. And then he cut off of that and got a I was like, what in the hell is happening? I was like, guys,
Dude.
Why can't I watch this every single time I turn on a college basketball game? Now, I know I'm expecting a lot, but I mean, that was Nick, like I don't want to talk too much. I want to let you go too. But my God, man, college basketball, I get it. It's electric when it's done right.
When it's good, it's good. When college basketball is good, it can be a better brand of basketball than the NBA for sure.
Yeah.
Because we see a lot of dog shit offense in the NBA. We see a lot of just like deplorable offensive philosophies and identities in the NBA. But
definitely
when a team does it right, like when there's nothing more like, and excuse me for the word, but orgasmic thing to watch in this world than when a player is in a system that is so clear and cut and there's rules to it, but he's still a player and he still makes decisions. He still makes plays. He can still decide, hey, this is the play, but I'm going to do this because that's what's in front of me. And I'm just going to go do it. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
That's why Alex Caravan also, I'm just going to clap it up for himself. He makes basketball look good.
Yeah.
It's again, like that's one of the things that is
future Spur, Alex Caravan.
The most obvious Spur of all time, Alex Caravan.
Yeah.
I literally watched like him make decisions with the ball in his hands that I will admit I didn't remember him making his freshman year. He was skilled,
he's grown
and I loved him
as a player for sure.
But he's so well rounded where I'm just like, I'm watching this again, and it's like both sides were making great decisions. They were making plays, and it was such good, clean basketball. And I was like, hey, I mean, clean as in, the sets. Turnovers, obviously, it's college basketball. But clean as in the way of every time both teams came down, there was a plan, they went out and achieved what they could have. And I sat there and said, guys, I got to talk about them on the pod. Because, again, we don't get college basketball love on here. So, first college basketball team to get it. It's kind of that's kind of crazy when you think about it. The Colorado Buffaloes. Anyway,
Shout
Nick,
out
I'll
the
let you
Buffaloes.
get your there you go. The Buffalo. I'll let you get your team of the week, sir.
By the way, I feel like the people are dying to know, but I'm a Travis Hunter Heisman truther, and he is a Ashton Genty Heisman truther.
1,000,000% Genty truther. Oh yeah.
Is it Genty or Genty?
Well, yeah. Well, his name is Genty, but it's he said Genty. So he's always got to ask the dude. Hopefully they know.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah,
he said it like not me. Like Ashton said that.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ashton said that it was in a interview. And yes, I'm 1,000% pulling for him for Heisman.
I just know from the game. I'm just a college football 25 ultimate team fiend. I've spent a fair amount of money on that game. Like more
and his running back card is tough though.
The 92. I mean the 88 one now. I still have that one. It's trash now. It doesn't get the job
I mean his
done.
catching is insane though.
Still
Even
good.
He does not do that in real life.
But I need the 92 card, bro. My buddy just got the 94 Alvin Kamara. Stupid.
I'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and lead that right into your team of the week,
well,
sir.
We can get into it. You know what? My team of the week is my college football ultimate team, and I'm just going to talk about all my players. But no, I got the. I was critical of this team in our last episode. It's a team that's very close to my heart. But my team of the week for the week after Thanksgiving,
there we go,
or even the week of Thanksgiving, but we're going to honor them now, is the Dallas Mavericks. Clap it up for the Mavericks.
Good job, Mavericks. That's how you listen.
Yes.
There we go.
All it took was Luka getting a little boo-boo on his wrist for Jason Kidd to realize maybe we should run some stuff. Maybe it's nothing crazy. It's just simple, quick hitters that get guys the ball in spots that they're good in. It's like, hey, let's run a little like a decoy action that has a cross screen on the bottom side where PJ can flash to the right block and we'll get him the ball.
Yes. And Nick, we can't keep moving on in this segment without bringing up one name that directly got impacted by this. Sir, I need you to talk about him because you have been a believer from the beginning. Nick.
The knife. Mr. Najee Marshall.
Najee.
Yes.
Clap it up for Najee Marshall.
Najee's a dog.
And he had 4 straight 20-point games, was it?
Something like that, man.
He had 26, 22, 20. I was like, oh, my God, what happened?
I mean, he is a nice guy to plug in for Luka because I very, very different calibers of player. Don't get me wrong. But on the offensive end, minus pull-up threes, they score in very similar spots and are also great playmakers with 2 feet in the paint.
Yeah,
so
great disclaimer.
It's like Najee coming off of a pick and roll or, driving closeouts. It just makes for better basketball at the end of the day. He's a great primary ball handler, secondary ball handler. I put him in a category with guys like Dylan Brooks that are like, if he's your one for a small stretch, you'll probably be okay. But you're better off with him being like your second point guard on the floor. Like a guy that
he's so seamless with it too.
Be a decision maker.
Part about him.
Exactly. Yeah. Like he can be a decision maker with the ball in his hands, or he can be off ball and be just fine. So it's like you can have your best player coming off something and let Najee have the ball in his hands rather than needing the ball to be in Luka or Kyrie's hands all the time. But when Luka's not there, he's got the ball in his hands a lot. And he's still good in that way, but I don't know. I really like Najee. I like his mentality. He's a very, very complete basketball player. He's been playing well. The Mavs have been playing well. Now Luka's healthy. I hope we can roll this over and start to just, I guess, snowball some success here. And I don't know why it takes us, like in the new year, we just went back to the way we were last year at the beginning of the season. And it's like, oh, wait, if we run a little bit of stuff and really lock in on D, we can win games.
Remember. That's all. Yeah, I will say to give kids some credit. Allowing Najee to feel that free out there, great.
If there's one thing Kid is going to do, he's going to let you feel free out there. If there was a boxer, if there was an underwear equivalent to Jason Kidd, it would be nothing. He's going to let you be as free, uninhibited as humanly possible.
You were literally going to go out there and just hoop.
Yeah, if Popovich is briefs, Jason Kidd is a skirt with nothing underneath it.
He's gonna let you ball.
He's gonna let you feel the breeze, son. But
and Najee is literally 1,000% taking that opportunity and running with it. Yeah. I think that's amazing, and that's why I love how they done it with him. But again, I will say, like you say, when Luka comes back, it's gonna go back to being him off the ball, and now it's a matter of how can we still have him just as involved, but with Luka and Kyrie. But I feel like over time, again, they'll figure that out in some degree. Now, this degree that he's at right now, probably not, but hopefully we can keep Najee going because he's one of those players that when he's playing well, that's good basketball. Right? Like,
it'd be awesome.
I gotta give it to him.
I just had this thought. Najee, Luka, pick and roll, pick and pop. Luka as a screener.
Hold on. You're saying
obviously
something.
You don't want Luka rolling a ton, wear and tear, but short roll.
I don't know if they're hearing you though.
I don't know if they're hearing me. Short roll, Luka catching, Luka popping, catching on the perimeter with a mismatch, catching 2 feet in the paint, decision making, attacking, just letting him get to those spots that he wants to get to.
Euro. Slow it down.
I'm just saying.
Slow it down.
Just saying, letting him get to those spots that he wants to get to without making him change direction 17 times to get there.
Yeah. I feel like Jason will look you dead in your face and be like, that's a great idea, son.
And then no. I don't even think he would give me that. I don't know. It might be a stupid idea, but
it's nice.
They call D'Antoni
it's a nice throw-in. Come on now. and we met our quota already of talking about D'Antoni. And the thing is, this. Oh, you know what? To expand on what you're talking about, right? I love guard pick and pops. I love it so much because of the speed that it happens. On top of it, and having a guard being able to attack a closeout immediately. Anytime that can happen, do it.
I like it.
But I don't. Yeah, I don't see Jason doing that.
He's not doing that. It might be a dumb idea. It might be really dumb. But hey,
well,
the great ones ask questions. They challenge the status quo. And sometimes they look like idiots, but sometimes they look like geniuses.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you look like that genius, hey, give that man a coaching job. That's the thing. Like, let's say you say this on this podcast, and then Jason does it the next game. Somebody's gonna be like, "Hold on, he's never done that before."
This guy's listening to Real Hoop Hours. That might be the dumbest thing you could do is listen to this podcast and then like try to implement like conjecture that we had and like, let's try that.
It's like, hey, these guys sound like they got an idea on their hands. Let's go ahead and take this. Let's go ahead and plagiarize this. And then if it doesn't work, just have to sit there and answer to it. Yeah. And then you got to make a video acting like you never said that.
That wasn't me, dude. Even if it was, why are you listening to me? Idiot.
Idiot. You get paid to make those decisions. Dummy. And that's Real Hoop Hours MO right there.
Exactly. Well, let's see. You want to just jump right into it here?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, for Real Hoop Hours, we kind of have a similar conversation. I'll let you introduce it, but it kind of flows well.
Yes. Our Real Hoop Hours this week is going to be a very broad topic about ball-dominant point guards, ball-dominant guards in general, and how does it work for teams, players, and coaches over time. Not just in the moment, just trying to win games. How does it work over time? And the first perspective we want to come to is about winning. Is how is it going to help you in the long run when it comes to winning when you have a ball-dominant point guard or a ball-dominant two guard?
Well, I don't know what to phrase it as just ball. Sorry to interrupt, but
no.
Just calling it ball dominant, I think we have to clarify, like, we're talking extremely high usage rate players.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Not just ball dominant, because there are ball dominant players that are not necessarily like super high usage rate. They just get their touches in spots, and when they get their touches, they go to work. But like, we're talking like
peak Russ.
James Harden, Luka, Russ, post Shaq, Kobe to a degree. But anyways,
weirdly, Luka his whole career, top 3 in usage rate every single year. Luka Doncic. That is what we're talking about. Extremely high usage rates. And how does that relate to winning? And I want to talk about realistically regular season winning first. Because obviously everybody wants to talk about the playoffs and how it doesn't work in the playoffs. But in the regular season, do you think that's the best way to operate as a team to be able to get leverage in the regular season?
I think that it can work. Like if you have one of those guys, it's definitely an easy way. It feels lazy to me, but the thing is, like, I've always been a believer in if you can make basketball simple, then make it simple, But on the same side of that coin, I think there's always a question of like, well, how well is it working? If you're the 2017 Rockets and James Harden is averaging 40 over the course of a month and you're winning every game or just about every game, you're in every game at least. It's like, keep it going, but you need to be ready to adapt. You need to have backup plans, I think. And it is tough to ask players around that guy, which is another thing we'll talk about, to be able to go from stand in the corner and be ready to shoot to like, all right, time to, hey, come off a stagger and be able to make a read and catch high and then like pass away and remember and go screen down. Like it is different, but it's doable. And if you practice those things and if you're ready to pepper them in game situations, then it shouldn't be an issue. But it seems like that Rockets team, they didn't do anything else. Yeah. It was just every time he was on the floor,
nothing else.
Just get him the rock and let him go.
I will say one of the things that is the downside to Mike D'Antoni's thinking of basketball is that Mike needs consistency, right? Where he needs to be able to know that every single possession is maximized to the furthest he could possibly get it to. And that's why when it comes to the problems of these super high usage guards, is that it's consistent. You're getting consistent action every single time because you have a really good dude with the ball in his hands coming off a screen going downhill, or you having him in an ISO situation where he can decide the motion. But at the end of the day, like you're saying, you need to be able to sprinkle in other dudes on the court making an impact because they're NBA players. There's a reason why they're in the NBA, and they need to be utilized as such.
Yeah, and I think D'Antoni may have been, and my buddy said this to me, and I like the way he said. He said D'Antoni is the most misunderstood basketball mind of all time, because everyone remembers him for James Harden. Most people. The most recent, interesting thing he did was make James Harden this who he was in Houston.
Yeah.
But he had the same philosophy with James Harden as he did with Steve Nash, who averaged 14 assists a game or wasn't 14, it was like 11. He was averaged 15 or 11, won an MVP.
Yeah,
whatever. But it was the same philosophy. It was nice we're going to set a high pick and roll, maybe with a back screen action like Spain. And we're going to either get a lob or they're not going to, or they're going to help and we're going to get a kick out three. And the thing is when he tried to implement that philosophy with James Harden, he realized it's just as high of a percentage as a kick out three is a James Harden pull up three.
There you go.
And once we set this screen, if they want to go under, I want him to shoot that ball every single time because he's shooting 38 on pull up threes. And it's if we can just get a lot of these, and sure, if they go over and then they bump from the corner, he's going to kick it out. And he's still averaged over 10 assists a game in stretches at least. So it just James Harden was a different player than Steve Nash was. So it just made sense. It's he's a 6'6" guard that shoots pull-up threes at a very high clip. So it's why not? If he can go 6 for 13 or 6 for 14 from three, let him shoot.
Yeah. They let him have it. And that's what the thing is, that I feel if you have one of these players, Mike D'Antoni is the way you need to go. Right? Where being able to sit there and say, how do I maximize this to the umptest degree I possibly can? Whereas some coaches look at it and say, okay, how do I control this? Mike didn't want to control it. He wanted it to go as far as it possibly can, as with a little bit of chaos. So what I like about James Harden's run with Mike is that every once in a while, Mike would just allow James to ISO 4 or 5 times in a row. Just completely bad basketball in stretches. But there was times where he allowed him to just make beautiful plays over and over. And that's what we talk about, again, with these super high usage rate players, is that it almost has to lead to winning in the regular season sometimes. Where it's you have a dude that good and you maximize him in that way, it's going to lead to wins. And that's where we talk about playoff winning.
Yep, that's a good segue. And I think
that's where
obviously
weird.
Some teams do it. I think the Hornets are a good example of a team that's doing that's not expecting to win, really. But they're look, with different pieces around LaMelo, we could win playing like this. And I don't think that's a crazy thought. And it bothers me that that's kind of the way basketball's become. But it's hey, if it's working, and no one can stop it, then why not keep doing it? But I do think that playing the right way always ends up working, and you always end up winning like that. Jokic has a higher usage rate, but he's still not in that crazy Luka, LaMelo, Cleveland Braun type area. And or maybe I guess not Cleveland Braun as much because he had Kyrie to balance it with, but But
Yeah.
like he still plays the right
2018.
way. They still play the right way, truly. You know, I don't think that playing the other way is like the wrong way, but there is a clear right way to play. It's the Nuggets, Spurs, even Miami Heat, every like touches, that thing's pinging around, +1s, driving kicks. The Celtics, I mean, I don't know why I didn't say the Celtics, but the Celtics play the right way. They shoot a ton of threes, but they still play the right way.
Here we go.
But that's tough to do. And it's always easier to just be like, let's play Melo ball. Let's play Luka ball. Let's play James Harden ball.
Yeah. And that's what it's saying is that we go into playoff winning. One of the things I always bring up all the time is that James Harden realistically should have gotten to the finals at least once during that run.
Ran into the Warriors.
And he ran to the Warriors. And that's one of the things whenever I hear these narratives that it just doesn't work and it just can't work, I always sit there and bring up James and be like, well, if there wasn't a KD Warriors, he probably goes to the finals twice.
Yeah. The greatest player of all time, or depending on who you are, a top 2 player of all time with 2 all-stars by his side, couldn't do shit to stop that team. You're like, well, James Harden couldn't beat him, so it doesn't work. What?
Yeah, that's the thing is that you sit there, you're like, okay, they got that close, and it was they gave that team the best they possibly could have gotten with that style of basketball. And that's where I go to say all the time that I personally think there's a world where that works. But I think it worked because D'Antoni finally got to pull back the reins of that consistency that I talk about, of that addiction to consistency, where he finally got to sit there and say, okay, cool, some possessions, we just need James to just flip it to the corner and have Eric Gordon just drive it immediately. Okay, some possessions, we just need Chris Paul to run a pick and roll and just have 5 men out, 1 man rolling, getting into the paint, and we just play basketball. That level of, like you're saying, sprinkling in different possessions with the high usage rate player is what leads to great basketball, is what leads to that top flight basketball, because you're still maximizing James Harden while also giving him possessions off to be able to still be a half decent defender, which I will say James Harden, later stages of the Rockets, was a good defender when he wasn't solid. Doing everything.
He was solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that it sounds insane saying it out loud for some reason. But
he was
I
decent.
That.
People love to fall for the meme. And then people love to not fall for the meme in the moment. And then 5 years later, their only reference thought is just the meme. And oh yeah, he sucked. He was a bad defender. Well, he would give up sometimes, but he was serviceable. He was solid for 3 years of him being crazy explosive offensively.
Yeah, later. Early, he was terrible. But later stages of Rockets, when he was actually starting to be in real game winning scenarios.
He got smarter.
He got smarter, and he understood how to conserve his energy to be able to be better defensively. I thought that was a insanely good combination, and that's why I say when it comes to players in the future, because this is going to be a thing with how basketball is today, is that we're going to have a lot of players with very high usage, but very high usage rates. That needs to be the mold to me. That needs to be the model going forward.
I don't disagree, but in terms of saying that can work, you can use the D'Antoni high pick and roll, Spain pick and roll system, but I feel the model is the Jokic, granted it's different because he's a big, and I guess that is kind of, they do a similar thing, but having your superstar understand that you always need to take the higher percentage shot, but not a higher percentage based on who's taking it, just based on what kind of shot it is. Because Jokic will get 3 feet from the rim, and he's not giving that up unless it's for a wide open layup. But a Jokic, 1-footed fader from 7 feet away is still a good percentage shot, but that versus a wide open 3 or a back cutting Aaron Gordon for a dunk, those are, obviously a 3 is maybe a lower percentage, but more points. It's he's got a supercomputer brain where he's constantly just calculating the highest output, the best efficient / best point output, whatever, but he just makes the right decision. And I think that's like
Definitely.
the perfect marriage of it. But you can do it the D'Antoni way. And I thought of this, but you ever play chess? Are you a chess guy at all?
Definitely. Big chess guy.
Okay. So, when someone just gets really queen
checkers.
happy, like early, like they just open things up with their pawns early and get their queen active right away.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like 11 turns in, you get sniped by their bishop from the corner. And you're like, shit. Like I was so focused on the queen because their queen is so active and he's constantly threatening and retreating and moving over and doing all this stuff with his queen. It's like, I forgot about the rook or the bishop. And that's how you have to play with a guy like that. If someone's going to be so active with one guy, you need to have these quick hitters. You need to keep people on their toes with the other effective players on your team.
Yeah, there you go. There's a balance to it, a marriage to it. The only reason I can't fully agree with the Jokic mode is because Nikola Jokic. For the simple fact that, like you're saying, he has a supercomputer up there.
Yeah.
And I would say, and the thing is that one things you can't teach a basketball player is processing speed. Right? You can teach them how to process, but when it comes to processing speed, that's one of the things where I think you either have it or you don't. And that's why I personally would like to go like a James Harden route, where it's a lot slower, and he can very much predetermine a lot of those decisions. And when it comes to Jokic, one of the things that he does really well is that when he catches it on the block, he does the perfect one court scan, dribble. I know exactly what you're going to do, so I'm literally just going to take this dribble just so I can bring you in, kick it to the wing.
Yeah,
and
it's like a quarterback.
And it's such a it's knowing, it's reading the floor, knowing what's going to happen, knowing that somebody has to react this way and making decisions. I just can't expect my dude that I have averaging 28 points per game. I can't expect him to do that normally.
James Harden did that too. Like technically, I think it feels different because Jokic is on the block and he's kind of looking. It looks like he's looking at everything, but like for James Harden, it was like, okay, if he goes under the screen, I'm going to pull it. If he goes over and then there's no weak side help, I'm probably going to have a lob, or I'll be able to just attack the drop and go to the rim. If there is help from the corner, then I kick it and it's an open three. For Jokic, he's looking at everything, but he's still making those similar decisions. He's like, okay, I know if I lean on this guy, I can just get to the paint and probably get a really high percentage look just posting up. If this guy is the help guy, like they're probably going to help from the weak side. And that's why Aaron Gordon is always lurking in that dunker spot, ready to back cut and just get a free dunk. But he's just watching that guy like, okay, if he comes up, then I give the ball to Aaron, whether it's a lob or a bounce pass. If they double me from the same side, then I'm going to take a retrieve dribble, pick it up, and scan from there. And I guess like he is processing a bit more. But it is like, like you're like a quarterback. You're like, this is my first read. If the safety's here, I know that I don't have the go. If this linebacker runs to the flat, then I know I need to wait for this route to break and get to the middle. And it's, I've like convinced myself into seeing your point. As I was disagreeing with you. It is different. It's a little different.
It's different, but in the way of that, I say as guards, you need to be able, there's a certain level of predetermination that has to happen as a guard versus as a big. When he's catching on the block, he gets to sit for 2 seconds and he gets to fully read this. And that's a level of determination. But when you're playing from the perimeter, you're moving, you have to move faster than Jokic. In that, in most post big men, Joel Embiid included, you have to move faster because you have to be able to score efficiently while also looking to pass. So one of the things I say as guards is that they need to have a level of predetermination of, all right, I'm driving and I'm going to throw this pass. Versus Jokic, like you're saying, he's processing it and saying, if I see this, then that. Versus somebody like James Harden has to say, before he even moves, I'm going to drive here. So when I get here, I'm throwing this pass because things are happening so fast.
Yeah, and
I think you
have
can't just process.
Well, you can't be totally predetermined. You're like,
you can't.
I'm going to drive here, and then the second I feel this resistance, I know it's because this guy's open, and then I'm going to throw that pass.
Yeah,
but the best guys,
there's a certain level to it.
The dudes like James Harden and Luka, and teams will watch that and they'll be like, okay, well then we just have, I wish I could draw it up, but like if the corner guy helps, on the lob. I know I have the skip to the corner, but what if that guy guarding at the wing, the top side guard, if it's not a naked side, weak side kick, he rotates down and just catches the pass. It's like the best guys like Luka and Harden are still seeing everything and still processing that. And, you know, when they start to pick that ball up in a load and they look at the corner and then that dude starts sagging down, they're whipping that thing to the 45, the wing, and just like, then it's wide open. It's like, holy shit.
Which I'll say this right now.
Those are the ones where like, holy shit, this guy's insane.
Yeah, that's I don't think, and the thing is, we got so desensitized because of today's basketball. That is one of the most insane plays you can make as a guard. I've said this so many times, and people don't understand when you're hooping and you're playing basketball there, to be able to see that wing dude come to the corner and then make a decision to flip it to the wing and make a perfect pass. That's why I say I can't expect any dude I have to do that, because that's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Because the level of, because one, obviously, I always say that the predetermination, to take that predetermination, then go and process that so quickly is where I say that's a top upper echelon that I don't know if we're going to see that constant again.
I mean, we do, though. We see it more and more. And that's like, I think like, I see your point of like, you can't expect your guy. I'm like, but can you? It's like, we have more guys that are able, like Giannis does that. Giannis does that on a regular basis where he's like driving and reading the defense. And he's not only one step ahead to say like, okay, I can't drop it off to my big here because the corner help is helping, but then the wing guy is already sliding down to take away that corner, like baseline hammer pass. He's like, I'm going to like throw it to the wing or like jump stop and kick it to the strong side. And it's like, that guy is 7'1", and he's making, like, he's doing that. It's like, I don't know if those guys can make that decision. And I don't know. I'm a strong believer that basketball players just get better and better and better.
Definitely. We're going to see that. You think, so now, you know what? Now this is a little bit of a side segue into saying, do you think that should be the expectation now? Now that's another question that we just came up with. I don't think that could be an expectation, because I don't think expectation. I think it's the expectation to be able to use a guy like that. If you're like, hey, we want you to be our D'Antoni, James Harden, Steve Nash, Russ, Luka. Yeah, I think that's like, hey, if you want us to play this way, if you like, or if we're going to do this, we need you to be able to do this. If not, then let's find a different philosophy. That's my thought. That's where I say it can, and that's where it's weird for me, is that it can work, but the only problem is I could never expect a player to do those things. But it can work if he can do it, and it could lead to championships 1,000%. And that's why I want to bring it to the coaches. Actually, a little bit overstepping where we was originally going to go, is that from a coaching perspective of how does this affect you as a coach? Because realistically, it's like the Jason Kidd approach. It's a lot of hands up. Hey, I'm just letting them play basketball. And if it goes bad, we saw what happened to Tony. You get fired. Well, I feel because you're almost two hands off. What Jason Kidd is doing and what Mike D'Antoni are doing are two very different things. Very different. D'Antoni has like at least a set is being run. Like you have a philosophy. Like at least there is a philosophy and an identity. It's like, this is what we do. This is what we're looking for. The Kidd philosophy is, we're just going to put the ball in the hands of our two best players as often as possible, and just let them go. That's not what D'Antoni did. D'Antoni's like, hey, James, if you pulled up if you ran that high pick and roll 3 times and you were able to just take your matchup essentially and abuse it, then go at him the next few possessions. Do it again. Yeah, it's do like, it again and do it Luka again. And Kyrie, they don't even look for switches anymore. It's just like the best defender on the other team is guarding him. It's like, everyone clear out. Let's just let him go. Yeah. It's like no, that's not D'Antoni. That's just nothing. There's different levels to it. There are levels to it for sure. And it's like of the hands off coach. Right? Because you have to have a system to put them in, at least. Even if it's a rudimentary, very basic, simple system, there has to be some rules, some walls within that they have to play. And that's why I think when we're talking about this high usage player, again, the reason why we keep bringing up D'Antoni is because you have to be that crazy. You can't be content. Just like we're saying, Jason Kidd is on this scale. If you're going to have a player that's that high of usage rate, a player that's going to have the ball in his hands that many times, you need to be active, and you need to be seeing the game and saying that, okay, forget it. Let's change this set. Let's move this around, because the player is just going to do the same thing. They're not going to adjust as well as you as the coach on the sideline. And that's why I also think from a coaching perspective, you need to be a Mike D'Antoni level of insane maniac if you're going to make that work. And I think somebody like in today's basketball, like somebody like Joe Mazzulla, who I think defensively has that type of mind, I don't think you could give him a player like that and he uses them effectively, because offensively he's very whip the ball around and very simple when it comes to the type of brand of basketball he wants to play. But give a high usage player to a coach like, Billy Donovan, who was somebody that was extremely hands off, so hands off that I don't even know if he was on payroll at some points. Right. And what happens is the player's going to go do well, but then he's going to just do the same thing. And even if it doesn't work in the moment, they're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's like the coaching is what's really important, is the way you coach this dude. Is because I don't know if the Doc Rivers style head coach is going to be popular anymore in about 2-3 years, where you're kind of just yelling.
Yeah, what even is the Doc Rivers coaching style? I don't want to break another tangent, but like,
yeah, no. So I call it
being a bad coach.
Yeah, the head ass coach is what I like to call it. Of sitting there and saying that like guys are doing bad, things are happening, and you're just like, guys, do better, play harder, and it's like, coach, we haven't ran a set in 2 quarters, like. What is that? What is this?
Oh my
and that's the thing, is that was such a popular style in the 2000s. And the reason why I say the Suns work so well is that the Suns would run this 7 seconds or less, and there was so many head ass coaches in the league that would sit there and be like,
come on, pin your ears back, get a stop,
go faster,
no,
go.
You got to throw something at him, Chief.
Coach, please do something else.
We got to play.
Like, no, we just need to play harder.
We need to play hard.
Yeah. It's like, coach, I can't play any harder.
The head ass coach is hilarious, brother. I love that. I'm using that from now on.
And that is and the thing is, that's why I say that, and I bring it up in this conversation because a lot of people give head ass coaches these players that need a lot of structure, not a lot of structure, sorry, but need structure to be able to be who they need to be. And like, I look at Giannis, right? Giving Doc Rivers. Giannis is the worst idea I've ever seen in my life, for the simple fact that Giannis needed a Mike Budenholzer, a coach that is willing to change, that is willing to invent, that is willing to sit there and say, let's get creative with this player. If you don't have that type of coach, you're not going to win. And especially unless you have a situation like the Boston Celtics, where you have a lot of really good players.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of dudes that need to touch the ball because they're that good. Where it's like, hey, I don't need to get creative. I just need Jason. I need you right here in this wing. Drew, I need you to go ahead and run a pick and roll going to your right hand. And you need to be able to look at Jason on that left wing, open shot. Right? Where it's a situation where I don't need a lot of structure, because the structure is the fact that everybody's touching the ball. And that's where I say the coaching is something where you need to be on a spectrum. And now obviously you can't be head ass. You can't be just sitting there yelling at people. That doesn't do anything. But I say Joe Mazzulla is the closest to a really good coach that is kind of like that level of like, he's not going to say that much.
He's a genius
in the moment.
Yeah, he's smart though at the end of the day, and he can be like like, we're just not playing very hard right now. But I think there are coaches that will say that, but they'll only say it when it's merited. It's not the answer to everything. It's not like we just need to tie our shoes a little tighter, like, no. Like, there's something that needs to be done. But I mean, Mazzulla is a freak, like, genius type guy. But
I love him so much, but he's so good at pregame planning.
Yeah.
He's so good, and that's one of the things that like I think that that's why I bring him up, and I say I wouldn't want a high usage player with him, is because in the moment of the game, he trusts his pregame planning so much that he's not going to go away from it because he is a genius. I've
Yeah.
seen him come up with things from game to game, defensively especially, where I'm like, oh my god, this is a totally different team than last game because his pregame planning, when he gets to sit down and watch the film, he's
What he did to the
amazing.
Mavericks in the finals was just diabolical, man. I
I mean,
usually like
I,
I'm pretty good at being able to acknowledge my team's strengths and weaknesses because I watch my teams a lot. It's like,
yeah.
man, we just don't do this very well. We're really good at this, but we don't do this well. Something I did not notice was that team last year did not make threes other than the corner. Like we did not make above the break threes very well. Other than Luka and Kyrie, like everyone else is like, yeah, like they just did not allow us to shoot threes that were not like in the they like if we wanted to shoot threes from above the break, and I mean by that, for those who don't know, like in the NBA, the 3-point line is straight in the corners and then it breaks and starts to curve. That's like the break. So
Yeah.
they gave us everything above the break. And that means that in the driving lanes at the top, if we ever tried to drive toward the middle of the floor or from the middle toward the wing, they were heavy in the gaps, like sitting there waiting for it. And I don't want to get too off topic, but it was genius. And you're right. There are guys that like that are just different like that. And then there are head ass coaches. So I love that.
Definitely. And that's why
there's a spectrum.
And that's why I say this is my favorite part about basketball is evaluating these coaches, right? But I do also want to get to another part that's very important about this is the players around that high usage player are the sprinkles that you talk about, where how does it work for them? And I feel like I want to let you have this because you talk very well about this, about how to involve players outside of that player.
Yeah. I think there's examples that like give an argument for it's good for them and it's not good for them in terms of having a high usage guy and then having the guys around them. Personally, I think anytime that guys are standing still on offense for too long, it sucks. It just, it's less effective. Two, it gets you cold. It makes it harder for you to play on the other end, to go from like, man, I'm moving, I'm talking, I'm bumping here, taking a shoulder in the chest and then closing out and sliding. And then it's like, now I go down on offense and I just kind of stand there. Like I have my hands up, but they could just be on my knees. It wouldn't really make a difference. But one thing I like is always having weak side action. So if you are going to isolate a guy, have something going on the weak side, set a stagger, even just having guys exchanging spots. So because like if you're the help guy guarding the dude in the corner and then you have to move up to the top and the guy that's the help guy on the top of the weak side has moved to the bottom, that's changing your responsibilities on what you need to do if that guy gets downhill, the guy isolating with the ball.
And that's like heavy air exposure concept that
and that's what you see in college
love.
Basketball a lot that you don't see in the NBA a ton. Guys stand around when they don't get the ball. And granted, in the 7-second offense with that high pick and roll, that Spain, whatever you want to do it with, like especially with the Spain, you can't have guys exchange. You have a guard sitting at the bottom, the screener high, the screener sets a screen for the guard at the bottom, or the screener sets the ball screen, guard at the bottom sets the back screen, that guy rolls. The two guys in the corner, they can't move. But if you're just going to isolate, if you're just going to get a matchup and switch, then you need to have guys moving. So one, that makes it easier on your guy that's isolating. It opens things up for you because it makes the whole defense guard. Not just two guys have to guard, but it makes 5 guys have to guard every possession. When you make 5 guys guard every possession, there's more margin for error within the defense. Look like you had some. I didn't want to keep going if you wanted something to interject.
No. I'm just nerding out right now because
you're good.
When I brought up air exposure, right, I actually previously did not like this part of how he coaches offense. Is you talk about exchanges on the weak side on an isolation. I actually don't like that.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of times where it happens, like where Bam Adebayo, I feel like he gets hurt a lot by this, is that he'll catch it on the elbow or like just like a little bit of block area. And then there's action happening in front of his eyes where that's slowing him down in his isolation because you have to acknowledge that happening. So, for example, is
Something to
what would happen.
process, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then for the Heat, right, what would happen to Bam is that he would catch the ball and then he would about to be jabbing, but then there would be action happening. And if he were to miss that pass, they would get on him for that. But it ended up making him hesitate a little bit, and then it messes up a shot. And that's what, for me, I always say that I struggle with involving other players while getting the best opportunity for my best player. That's something that I'm not good at. That I say, that's something I need to acknowledge. Hey, action on the weak side to have the corner dude come up to the wing, maybe cut off of that to get easy opportunities. But at the same time, I don't want to make action that causes my isolation to be less effective.
That's fair.
And that's where you just have to know your team and know who you need to put in certain spots. Because I have a dude,
no, sorry, go ahead.
All right, but if I have a dude that's high usage, I want to utilize that isolation as much as I possibly can. And that's where it's like a dude standing, as much as it definitely should piss you off as a coach. If you're watching other coaches just allowing dudes to stand on the court, because it's one of my biggest pet peeves also, is a dude not touching the ball in general for 5 minutes, then expecting him to make a wide open three. As much as it's wide open, it's not.
And it was like, it was the Cavs dilemma. It's the Lakers dilemma. Pre-Redick Lakers, of course, but like, it's like, oh man, like Taurean Prince can't make a shot. It's like, he hadn't touched the ball in 7 minutes, dude.
Exactly.
He shot 4 threes.
Real time.
He shot 4 threes all game, and each one was spaced like exactly 12 minutes apart. And those were his only touches. Like, what do you want him to do?
Never touched the ball. Yeah.
What do you want Kyle Korver? Like, Kyle Korver went 0 for 3 in a game. It's like, Kyle Korver's an incredible shooter. How are you only getting him 3-point shots a game? I don't care if he's 36.
Exactly.
Like, find a way, manufacture him a look. And then if he misses it, don't not go back to that set or something similar for the rest of the game. So it can be, there are ways to get guys involved. There are ways that it can help them. I think some players like Klay Thompson, not that the Warriors were extremely high usage on one guy, but he benefited from having 2 higher usage guys and being the third fiddle, with KD there. But even just with Steph, and they're creative. Obviously, the split screen offense is the best offense for him to be able to operate in, because it's just like,
definitely,
there's always something going toward the rim. Anytime anyone takes the rim, he's catching and shooting. So
but letting it fly too, and rebounding opportunities on top of that.
It can help. It can hurt. I think there's a way to do it right, and there's a way to do it wrong. But even when you do it wrong, when guys are just standing still, some guys play well out of that. Like PJ Tucker is a perfect example of like a guy who's just like, I'll just sit my ass right here. And I will crash every time a shot goes up. And every time I catch it and I'm open, I will shoot it. And I'm going to go 4 for 8 or like 3 for 9. And that's going to be good enough for my team to win.
There we go. And that's why I will admit, my style of coaching would probably be bad for a lot of players. In the way of that, I don't need a PJ Tucker, because I do need dudes to be able to touch the ball. And the main thing about me is that I need dudes early in the possession, touching the basketball, late in the possession, end up back in my star players' hands. So that's one of the things where I say what a lot of NBA teams do wrong. And the Celtics were really bad with this during the finals year with Udoka, is that there will be times where Jason Tatum will catch the ball in the wing at 16 seconds. He dribbles around the screen, and he gets to switch 12 seconds. He steps it back and then passes it to Jaylen Brown just so he can give it back to Jason. 8 seconds. Does some dumbass step back, shoots it, clank, at 4 seconds. During that 12 seconds, nobody got any type of real touch from that or got any type of real basketball action. All you did was just try to hunt a switch. And that's why I was like, that's terrible. But at the same time, did that even utilize Jason to his full extent? You didn't even give him opportunity to move downhill or find an opportunity that he really wanted. And that's where it's like other players on that team 1,000% were hurt by that. And one thing I think is really good is double screens, stagger screens is especially what I like, to be able to involve other dudes, but still have that star player, that high usage player coming downhill, moving down
one
and
side
finding
of the floor,
opportunities.
It also loads one side of the floor so you can clear it out on the other side. But
and I can have my shooter in the corner ready to go, and again have him touch the ball.
Yeah,
Gabe Vincent is not a bad shooter. He just doesn't touch the ball until it's time to shoot. and as much as it's an expectation, that's not how the Heat played him. That's not how these dudes that go to the Lakers who forget how to shoot a basketball. That's not how they were used before. And guess what? Their whole lives prior to that, that's also not how they were used. Because
the
they
best
were
team
really
on every
good.
team they played on until this moment.
So literally, they have never played this way. So you're then expecting them to be a 40% three-point shooter. No, you need to involve them. Klay Thompson still gets opportunities to dribble the ball, even though he's not that good handling the ball. The Warriors don't care. If you're on this court, you're going to handle the ball. If you're on this court, you're going to feel the ball. And that's the great part about it.
Heem loves feeling balls. I think that's a great way to end Real Hoop Hours.
There we go.
You had some great quotes from this. At one point, you said every coach needs to be on the spectrum. You said that at one point. It's great. I want that on a coaster.
Because look, if we're talking about Joe Mazzulla and Mike D'Antoni, they're both on the spectrum.
Facts.
In some way possible.
Every coach that's coaching football or basketball at any level like higher than high school is like, you're probably on the spectrum a little bit. Like you're like a psycho.
You're insane.
But,
there's an insane part to you. That's why I love it. All right, well, that's it for Real Hoop Hours. And we did talk about D'Antoni more than everybody else on this planet at this moment. But we do need to get into something to get something off our chest of therapy session. And this is where we get off things that happened this week, previous weeks, especially because we missed last week. But Nick, do you have anything you want to get off your chest for this week?
I got two kind of short ones. One is a smoked lay. I'm a big like seltzer water guy, like LaCroix and things of that sort. It's my sodas.
Mm-hmm.
I love soda and I would drink it all the time, but I don't have the metabolism of a 19-year-old anymore, so I'll just get fat if I do that. So I drink these guys. I like the Waterloos. They're great. But I went to the store yesterday, picked some up, got 2 boxes. I got blackberry lemonade and peach. Next level stuff. But
sounds fire.
I wanted one, and I was like, I'll put one in the freezer, and I'll just grab it in a bit, because if I put it in the fridge, it won't be ready very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I found this today. And for those that are just listening, liquid expands when you put it in the freezer. So my can is fully expanded. I cannot, here for those watching, I guess if you're listening on Spotify, you can just open up the app, but it no longer stands. It's undrinkable. I think there's still a little solid in there, but
yeah, I don't think you could drink that anymore.
Is it the end of the world? No, but it's definitely a smoked lay of sorts.
It's definitely a minor inconvenience.
Yeah. And then the other one, excuse me. The other one is more of just like a butt slap for myself, like something that was encouraging. I think I just said it too, but I say a lot of stuff. Like I say next level, like, oh, that's next level. Like, like, oh, that's diabolical. Stuff like that. And my girlfriend last night, we were hanging out. She described something to one of her friends as next level. And I was like,
that makes your world.
That's a good feeling. When your girl starts using your terminology, that's awesome.
That's good stuff. I've like one of my ex girlfriends literally took my whole bag, and she still uses it to this day. So it does piss me off, but it is
That's
nice when
stolen valor.
they do. Yeah, I
You go
want
to
to say
jail for
like because
that.
I like to say like something's gas.
Oh,
Like
it's
I'll say it all
gas.
the time. Yeah, she use it every time, and like literally like I can't stand her now. So then like I'll see her around every once in a while. That she'll be like, "Oh, that's gas," and I'm like,
Like,
"You're not even saying it right.
you can't.
You use it." It's like, but it
You
was so
said it sucks.
yeah. But it's like, but when she first did it, I was smiling the whole time.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't stop smiling.
Even if she
So
does it
that's
wrong.
yeah. I was like, yeah. She was
Yeah.
learning, and then we get it. It was wrong as hell, but she was learning.
Yeah.
They're like, see, you get it. You get it.
Yeah, man. That's mine. I mean, nothing too crazy. A minor inconvenience on the smoked lay, and then a nice little pick me up. But
there we go.
yeah.
There you go. No, and barely food related. You know,
Yeah. No, and I'm excited to hear yours because I heard yours is only somewhat food related, right?
Yes, it very well is. This is I like to call this offensive foul on a child.
Oh.
Yes. And yes, we was at work. There was an older gentleman with his son, and we were talking. And then he was saying how he wanted to reward his son for eating the school's like free lunch that they give to the kids that they don't pay. Right? They got a little pizza or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't like it." Right? And then the dad asked me, he's like, "Hey, you was growing up, what'd you get? When you forgot your money at home, trying to like, get some camaraderie." I said I got a cold cheese sandwich with two pieces of white bread, cold cheese, and a carton of white milk, and I couldn't grab the chocolate milk. And that child was like, looked like he just saw me talk about the Great Depression.
Hey,
and
not gonna lie, that is a crazy meal for a child.
Every time I bring this up, I didn't know people were living different. So
we didn't have a free lunch. There was no like free lunch option. There was like the cheaper option. It's like you either had lunch money or you didn't.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, right? So my problem as a child, I used to forget things all the time. So my mom would leave me money every once in a while to get school lunch. And I would forget it all the time, and I'll be at school and I'll be like, "Oh, now I gotta get the free lunch." And the lunch ladies would always have this big ass tub of cheese, cold bread, cold cheese, sandwiches, unwrapped. I mind you,
dude, no meat, nothing,
no bag, no meat,
cheese and bread,
nothing.
You could at least grill it, make it a grilled cheese.
You could have, but no, that's too much, right? So then I'm like, okay, cool. I remember one day I was like, all right, cool, can I grab a chocolate milk? She's like, that'll be 50 cents. I'm like, lady, I'm trying to tell you, I don't got no money. That she's like, that's 50 cents. And I was like, you're looking at a child and feeding him cold white wheat bread. Keep in mind, it wasn't white bread. It wasn't bread with some flavor to it. It was sawdust in bread form and cold cheese. And this child complained about a pizza. So then now I hit him with the unk. I'll be like, be
Back
grateful for what you have. I didn't even want to do that.
You got to, bro.
I thought that he was going to agree with me. He's like, oh my God, really?
You lived through the great cheese sandwich depression of 2006.
I was like, I thought everybody was doing it until I realized that I went to school during the recession.
Yeah, okay. During the housing crisis.
Yeah, I was in middle school during like the late stages of the housing crisis. So for some reason, they were like, all right, we're going to affect the children and we're going to give them whole. And the thing is, what pissed me off about this, really, Nick, is why I have to talk about this right now, is that the sandwich wasn't just cold. It was ice cold.
That is crazy.
I used to put mayo and mustard packets on it and act like I had a sandwich. And I was like, this school system.
Could you get two of them?
No, you couldn't ask for two. You couldn't. You got one. So even if you found a way to make that decent, you got one.
That's tough.
It was, and I'm be honest with you. Then they changed it now. I went back and I learned that they now add meat on it.
Give some,
and it's white
some turkey.
Now. So yeah, they just throw ham and turkey. You have a choice.
That's great. Okay. Oh, you got a choice. Kids these days, spoiled, spoiled, rotten.
Spoiled children who didn't have to live through the Great Depression in the 2000s. who man, spoiled children. I'm just like, and then again, this kid walked away. He was in there. I bet he was grateful for his pizza now. He looked hurt. He was like, "Wow, that's what it used to be like." And then I didn't.
Couldn't realize. Be me.
Yeah, I should never did that to that child. He didn't deserve it. But that is all I got for my therapy. I need to get that out.
Cool.
Definitely.
I feel better. You feel lighter?
Oh, but definitely.
I don't know what I'm going to do with this, though. I got this out. I took it out of the freezer. Yeah. Like, I saw it in the freezer right before we started recording. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's right.
You could chuck it at dumpster.
Maybe.
That seems like it would
explode. It's like defrosted, but it's like there's no give to the can whatsoever.
Yeah, don't open that thing. You might.
Maybe I'll drink it.
The disc.
I'm gonna shower before I go to. We got a game tonight. I'm gonna shower. Maybe I'll like shower beer it. You know. Big time white people thing. Shower beers, awesome. Yeah. Though.
Craziest Christian dad thing I've ever heard you say.
Dude, shower beer.
Shotgunning a Waterloo.
Not shotgunning, just shower beer. Like just drinking it in the shower, like casually sipping it, and you just put it like in the corner.
That's even bigger. Dude, yeah, that's even That's even crazier Christian dad.
Bro, don't tell me white people have no culture, and then tell me you're going to drink a shower beer. All right.
Wow, they call that big alcoholic in certain other families.
Just one. Just one. I'm not drinking a shower Mad Dog 2020. You know, I'm not drinking
a shower Four Loko. You know,
yeah. You know? Shower Gold Four Loko. Goodness gracious, just get out of the shower belligerent, ready to hit someone
like that.
For real. It's called
he did what?
Call RFK in the health and the FDA, bro. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, but get that. Yeah, but get somebody.
RFK's worried about seed oils at McDonald's. Like, no, get this guy drinking a Gold Four Loko in his shower. He's got a family.
Yeah, this kid is waiting.
Deport him, Donald.
Oh, forget no child left behind. We need to save that kid. Well, where's Bush when you need him?
All right. Well, that was therapy. Went a little extra, but we got to keep it moving. We got to move on to our draft. And we got a treat for you today. We got a treat for everyone because this is one that we've had in the bank for some time here. We're doing the starting five draft of historical figures, where we will draft point guard through center, as well as a six-man and a coach of just historical figures, people that were important in history in some way, shape, or form. But you got the first pick, so I'm going to throw it to you, man.
Yes. By the way, I did zero prep for this first draft. I did zero prep because I want this to be off the dome. As a history major.
You're a history major?
Oh yeah, I was a history major.
Okay.
Communications minor. If I don't come up with a golden team, I wasted that student dip. But at my point guard, my first pick, I'm going to pick Genghis Khan.
Damn it.
The man that literally his DNA is still in 8% of the male population. I need that man to lead my team. When I tell you that nobody, every time they heard that man's name, they was terrified. Can he play basketball? I bet he can.
Probably.
He probably could. And
dog mentality.
I need a dog at that point guard. Give me Genghis Khan.
All right.
Leading the team.
Pick number one for me.
Yes, sir.
Where you put him at the one?
One, yeah, at the one. He was 5'11". He was he was.
I saw it ranges.
5'11".
People think he may have been taller, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say
He was
but the
Asian.
consensus.
Not a lot of tall Asians out there.
Yeah, so
Probability.
some said 5'8", but I'm like, I'm gonna go with the 5'11". Right.
Yeah, we'll
So
take 5'11". Okay. First overall pick for your boy. Also going for a point guard. Give me Jesus Christ. Why not?
what a pick.
Give me the big JC.
I mean, JC out here messing everything up. I mean, I gotta get that too. I guess. I mean,
Would he buy in? Because his kingdom was not of this earth. How much would he care
there
about
you go.
the game?
Yes,
Because
and
it
he
is at the end
also
of the day just a game. But
very much.
if we can get Jesus to buy in, dynasty.
And he also could have just been a regular dude. So we might. You got a predicament on your hands here.
So I myself am a strong believer, but I know that people that not everyone listening is, and that some people think like he well, maybe you think he's just a prophet or you think he was just a guy, but
Yes,
we do know he did exist, so I am allowed to pick him. But I will gamble on that. I'm willing to roll those
there
dice.
we go.
I've based most of my life off of it, so why not keep it
There you
rolling
go.
here? Jesus Christ,
As he
first overall.
As he walks in, hand him a water bottle. We'll see what he does with it.
Amen.
And I will say for my next pick, I'm going at my 4.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, sir. I'm going bombs over Baghdad. Osama bin Laden. 6'5".
Shout out Terry Rozier.
Terry Rozier, who came up with the perfect joke for this. I will not repeat it, but Osama bin Laden will be my 4 because there's not a lot of tall dudes, and I did not know bro was 6'5" until Terry. So Osama bin Laden will be my 4. Said bro should have been hooping, and I gotta admit that I feel very strongly about that pick. I know he has a jumper. I know. At the 4, yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna pick my 3. I may move him to the 4 later.
Okay.
Give me Honest Abe. Give me Abraham Lincoln. Big,
that was my
sturdy.
Next pick. Okay.
Also, for branding purposes, very strong brand. The top hat.
Yeah, you can sell some.
Great
you can sell
leader.
Some merch.
Sell some merch.
There we go.
Leader of men.
There we go. There you go. I like you was going with that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Taking Abe.
But for me, for my small forward, now that I think about it, this might be the worst idea possible. But we're gonna go ahead and throw George Washington at the 3. All right. Now he was 6'2".
6'2", okay.
He was 6'2" or 6'3", apparently. Now, obviously, these things can be completely wrong. But let's throw George Washington at the 3 because I want a 3-man that can control the game. Get out there. I need a floor general. Okay. They can get out there, and then whenever Genghis Khan is wilding too much, then we can go ahead and give it to George to run the offense. So we're going George Washington at the 3.
Okay. All right. I like that.
Yes, sir.
See, this is tough. This is where my picks get a little iffy, a little up in the air. But I do want to take another biblical figure. But this is where it's tough because we know Jesus existed.
Yes.
But, I mean, it's, the question of whether he was Jesus Christ or not. But,
yes.
I'm screwed. I'm going to do it. If one day, if I die and I figure out that he never existed, then I'll take the L on this draft. How about that?
Here we go. All right, there we go. Good deal.
Give me Goliath at the 5. Speculated to be 10 feet tall.
Right. Yep,
just absolute
okay.
dog in the trenches. Rim protector.
Okay. I like that. Now, is he going to fit on the court is the better question.
We don't have a whale lord situation here. He's
yeah, okay.
He can fit. He's just going to be as tall as the hoop.
Very, very much. Okay. I like that. And actually, I'm glad you opened up that door because at the 5, I'm actually going to go with Zeus, the god of thunder.
Fair. I cannot.
I kept it in the bag. I wanted to see how we did this
Okay,
draft.
that was that break glass in case of emergency pick. Fair.
It was. If you got a little too good, I had to pull him out the back pocket. We're going Zeus, the God of Thunder, at center. I don't know how tall he is, but I know he's taller than the average man. That's all I know. And he literally is the God of Thunder. If he can't get a bucket in the paint, I don't know what will. So we're gonna go Zeus at the 5.
All right.
Get a little dirty in this draft right here.
Technically, Goliath most likely existed, but maybe he wasn't 10 feet tall. Maybe he was just like 6'6". But I don't know. Zeus just made.
He's just above average.
Most likely just isn't real. But I'm gonna. You know what? I opened the door.
So I must accept. Right.
I must accept everything that comes with what I did with my pick. Okay. All right, that's fair.
I didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it.
I'm not even upset. I think it's extremely fair.
There we go. Okay, good.
I'm going to pick my power forward, and I'm going to pick William Wallace, a.k.a. Braveheart. Depicted by Mel Gibson in the classic flick, Braveheart, but apparently he was 6'7", and he's a dog.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Another strong leader.
I forgot, bro. I didn't know you 6'7".
Big dude. Big guard.
Okay, hold on. All right. You know what? I like what you got going on here. All right.
That makes Abe at the 3 make sense too.
Yeah, I'm about to say, and how I'm looking right now, looking at Zeus at the 5, I think that's game. But I will say we're looking pretty good, and I need a 2 guard. Let me see. So I'm trying to think who would be a really good 2 guard on this team to go with Genghis Khan pairing the backcourt. Yeah, I think. You know what? If I'm letting it fly. At the 2 guard, we're gonna go with Fidel Castro. We're just gonna put some devious minds in that backcourt, and we're just gonna try to dog the other team. And we're throwing Fidel Castro to 2. I have no idea about his basketball abilities, and I think he was like 5'9". But we're gonna try to run a Pat Bev situation, and there's gonna be some dogs up there.
That's some dogs, bro. That's a good pick. I had Fidel was on my list. You picked a lot of guys. Genghis Khan, George Washington, Castro were all on my list, but
Abe was 1,000% in my mind. So you kind of messed up my thought process with that one. But I should have knew you was looking at him.
So my 2 guard pick, and it might not make sense at first, but hear me out. Okay. Lyndon B. Johnson.
Okay.
6'4". Also, the definition of big dick energy. He used to take out his penis and show it to people. Just because it was huge, apparently.
Yeah, they had to know.
And he had a nickname for it. He called it Jumbo.
I didn't know this one. That man was full of himself.
Quite literally.
I would have quit. I'm not gonna lie. The second I would have seen Jumbo for the 18th time, I would go ahead. I would have quit the next day. So big ups to anybody that stayed in as a political office after that.
Dude, apparently, if he was losing an argument, he would just take out his penis and be like, "What do you think now?"
Jumbo, he wins.
Wait, what are you going to say that to Jumbo?
That's so crazy.
Crazy. But we got LBJ. Yeah. Playing in a 2 guard front next to Jesus Christ is crazy.
Wow, that's insane.
Abe,
I got
Will Wallace and Goliath. But we got to pick 6 men and we got to pick coaches.
Okay. For my 6th man, I had my eyes on him the whole time. But now I think about it, this might not work well with my other dude I got on this. You know what? Forget it. We're just going to go with it. My 6th man, I'm going to go with Adolf Hitler. We're going to throw him on the bench. He's going to
the most evil team of all time, bro.
we're gonna galvanize the troop off the bench, and we're gonna have somebody that can really lead the boys.
If you would have asked me, if you would have told me before the draft that you would have a team with Genghis Khan, Fidel Castro, and Adolf Hitler, I would have been like, there's no way.
Hey, look, you see
The
what I'm going for
colonization
right now, right?
genocide squad.
We're going dogs. Hatred. As much hatred as I could put in that guard position. You notice, hey, I got my four. I got Osama bin Laden also in there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Bin Laden.
But we got George.
And
also,
George Washington. Who's gonna? Okay, I cannot wait to hear your coach, but I got to go with my. I got to go with my my six man.
Yes.
Give me Charlemagne.
Oh,
Warrior.
okay.
Also,
Yeah.
6 foot.
He was pretty tall, wasn't he?
6'5", I believe.
Yeah, he was.
You can fact check me on that, but he was tall and also just versatile. Gonna get along with Jesus. You know.
Yep.
Goliath, they might butt heads a little bit, but I think Jesus could get Goliath to buy in. I think he could get him to be a team player. But yeah,
I like that.
6-man Charlemagne.
You know what? In this situation, I will admit for my coach, Nick, I made a mistake. I didn't expect my team to come out the way it had, but I already had two people with the coaches, and they both are bad fits. But I'm gonna say it anyway because I have Zeus, so I win the game. For my coach, we're
Zeus
going
versus
Martin Luther King. And some might say he's not going to be able to motivate Adolf.
Zeus and Jesus, call it a wash. After that, you got locker room issues, bro.
What you mean wash? It's Zeus.
Zeus is the god of thunder. About? Jesus is just God.
Okay.
I figured I was giving you the benefit of the doubt, calling it a wash. Jesus is God. Just
look, man.
In infinity.
I wrote down my coaches, and I realized as this draft went on, I went ahead and I forgot to add some good people.
Oh
on this
my
side.
Gosh,
that's
a hell of a team, man.
We're gonna have Martin there as the voice of reason. I have Martin there with some intelligence that could draw up some good plays, and hopefully Adolf makes it to the game.
Yeah,
probably
Adolf
won't.
Is not listening. He's doing the opposite of what Martin tells him to do.
But if this team comes together, we have dogs. All right,
all-time ceiling
dogs.
All-time
ceiling through the roof. Now the thing is, Osama, he might have to be the one outside of Zeus to get a bucket. Okay, we're gonna be playing some defense.
Should have been hooping.
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna be playing defense. We're gonna be shooting.
All right, my gosh.
And that's gonna be the MO of this team. Martin, it was between Martin and Malcolm, by the way.
Malcolm was tall.
Yeah,
he was like 6'4".
The thing is, I wanted to throw Malcolm in the 6-man and to have Adolf at the coach, but then I was like, nah, he's gonna be a terrible coach. So
he's not gonna give Malcolm any minutes, bro.
Yeah.
Malcolm's gonna be 6-man and he's staying on the bench.
See, Martin is gonna get everybody good minutes. And he's gonna sit there and give everybody opportunities to touch the ball. Straight Warriors offense. Say this is the mind here. Now, Adolf at 6-man is crazy. Genghis Khan, I don't know what's his situation like. Fidel Castro, I just had to have him on the team for the sake that I said the name Fidel Castro today.
Yeah, that's fair. Plus, you're getting the whole team cigars if you want a chip. Hand rolled Cubans. There
you go.
Gotta think through these
now,
things.
I'll let you go ahead and get your coach in.
So for my coach, I think I'm going Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, I got
just all-time.
Okay. Yeah, that was a bit.
American hero. He would wrestle bears and stuff. Right? Was that him? He was just like a guy's guy.
Yeah, he was a dude.
He's like the coach. He'd be like Coach O.
Dude.
You know, but but in basketball.
They used to talk about his presence used to actually have women fainting back in the day.
Aura.
So
the kids would call it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I didn't actually realize until you said it right now. You kind of look like Teddy.
I got a little bit of this.
Yeah, the mustache kind of. I'm like, I can see
It's not built like Teddy.
Maybe. Oh no, Teddy was a unit.
Brawny.
You should have had him playing.
I did think about that. How tall was Teddy?
Yeah. He's probably short as hell and stocky, but Teddy was a tank out there.
Built like Van Fleet and Lowry, plays like Pat Bev.
Got the Luka build out there. Come on now, that's hard. I mean, he's probably
5'10".
short as. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
I thought he was like 5'7". I ain't gonna lie. See, Teddy, that's a good. You know what? I like what you did there.
But we're taking Teddy.
It's a good. That's a good coach. That's a good
coach. Teams embody the personalities of their coaches. Mm-hmm. So, if we can embody the personality of Teddy Roosevelt, we're going to be a good ball team.
And I have Martin Luther King, and you saying that you had a problem with it.
I think there's a lot of personality conflicts on your team, though.
I'm just saying, you said, hey, the team's going to embody the coach. I cleaned all that up with Martin Luther King.
I wish you would have made Hitler the coach, dude. Make Hitler the coach, pick all blonde hair, blue-eyed, like white men, and just be like, we are going to dominate.
I'm not gonna lie. He is a EuroLeague coach RA rating.
The EuroLeague draft of historical figures, just only white guys would be. Hitler would be a great coach for that squad.
I couldn't give him. The thing is, I couldn't give him too much responsibility. He has to be a very micro dose of responsibility.
Yeah.
And there we go. So let me go ahead and go through my full team.
Go ahead.
Because Nick wants to question my vision. All right. At the point guard, we got Genghis Khan. At the 2, we have Fidel Castro. At the 3, we have George Washington. At the 4, we have Osama bin Laden. Bombs over Baghdad Laden. Then we got 5, we got Zeus. That was an emergency pick for Jesus Christ and Goliath. So don't question me on that one. 6 man, we're going Adolf Hitler. And at the coach, we're going Martin Luther King, with his assistant coach being Malcolm X.
Personality conflicts all over the place. But, we'll
figure it out.
That's fine.
We have an 82-game season. We'll figure it out.
My squad, I'm going to pull it up. At the 1, we got Jesus Christ. At the 2, Lyndon B. Johnson, 6'4".
That's a good pick.
The 3, Abe Lincoln, also 6'4". Power forward, William Wallace, 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
At the 5, we got Goliath.
That's good height.
May or may not have existed. Probably existed, but may or may not have actually been 10 feet tall. But
let's go 6'8".
Listed on the roster, he's at 10 feet tall.
Yeah,
listed.
I'll believe 6'8". Listed 10 feet tall for the AAU team, but we'll see when he gets out there.
6 man, Charlemagne, 6'4", gets along with Jesus. Probably get along with Abe as well. Coach, Teddy Roosevelt. An assistant coach, we're going Holy Spirit. Why not? The helper, as they referred to the.
There you go.
To the Holy Spirit.
So good versus evil.
It's pretty much. Except I got Lyndon B. Johnson and Goliath. I don't know if LBJ was technically evil, but anyone who's just waving their wiener around, probably not that good.
Not a great person. No, they're definitely not a great person. And that's why, to me, that's why you guys see the beauty of my team, right? We're not all good guys. All right, we got some bad apples in our locker room. It's about coming together and really using those abilities. All right, I couldn't go full evil. I had to throw George Washington in there. I had to throw Zeus in there. Okay, cool. Like whatever, however y'all feel.
Zeus good?
We got. He's got to be decent.
He made some questionable. I studied some mythology. He made some questionable decisions.
Oh yeah, no, he's actually abandoned children.
A lot of children.
Yeah, a lot of children.
Deadbeat dad. So I can't 100%.
So actually, now
I read The Lightning Thief.
4 bad. Actually, so we're gonna go throw Zeus in the bad side. Because now that I think about it, and we got Martin and George to clean it up. I think they're gonna steer him in the right direction. And I think I'm going about this the right way. I think we have dogs on my team. Y'all too soft. Y'all too nice. I got Adolf coming off the bench, who was probably 5'7" in your chest.
I don't know. I like my size. I like my size.
I do like that. I do say your team is great size.
I think your team is
Pause.
Your team is the big three in Brooklyn. KD, James Harden, and Kyrie's if it works out, it'll be awesome, but probably won't work out.
You know what? I like the way you said that. You know what I'm saying?
My team is the San Antonio Spurs, just built to last.
Right. But that's it for the draft. I hope y'all enjoyed that. We had a great time with it. One of my favorite drafts.
That was a good one. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we might need to do that again. But now lead us out of the show. Thank you guys for making it to this far. Thank you guys for making it this far. But before we get out of here, we have our final question, where we give one trivia question at the end of this show, and hopefully we get them right, but we probably won't.
One day.
And in this draft, you have to get within 0.1, of a decimal point to be able to take the point home and say that you got the final question correct. And
for those who don't listen to every episode, the score is 0-0.
Yes.
We ask each other a trivia question at the end of every episode.
Yeah.
And we have not.
If 0.1 decimal point wasn't obvious enough that it's 0-0, yes, thank you for mentioning that, sir. And Nick, I will go ahead and let you start for the final question.
As a high school basketball coach, I love a good box out. Love a good box out. The Boston Celtics are tied with the New Orleans Pelicans for clean box outs. I'm assuming it's clean. And I'm going to do this to help you with the number, but
yes,
clean box outs per game. I don't know what that entails.
Yes,
but
that's my question. Okay. Clean box outs per game.
What is that number?
Where do I start?
This is a hard one. I don't love it.
Oh, are any of these easy?
I'm gonna give you a hint.
Yes.
It's lower than you think.
Okay, because clean box out that's the weird part.
That's why I said clean, because it can't just be like a box out.
Yeah, clean box outs only happen in practice, realistically, or that kid that gets 2 minutes.
Like a really, really good, you boxed him out perfectly and then got the rebound.
Okay, so then, you know what? I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. We're gonna go 11.4.
Final answer?
Final answer.
That is incorrect.
Ah.
The answer is 7.9.
I knew. Okay,
and that leads the NBA. This time. And it just has it here as box outs per game.
I wonder. You know what? I wonder is if that number is lower or higher than in the 90s or 2000s.
Got to be lower.
Gotta be lower, right?
Well,
because
think about
spacing.
A lot more long shots too. Create longer rebounds where box outs really don't do you any good, or not that much good. If it's a bunch of layups, it's let's box out a mid-range jumper. No, a three might pop back out to the 3-point line.
Yeah, box out actually hurt you in some situations like that. So actually, okay,
boxing guys out within the perimeter. You want to box out the shooter because the ball comes back to him. You want to be sitting right there, ready to grab it. But
easy. But okay, you know what? That's I'm actually kind of impressed with myself with how close I was.
I was close. I wanted to give you a hint though, because I was like, that one's kind of ridiculous.
I was about to say 82.
I was about to be my thought would have been high 20s, low 30s.
Yeah, no, I was about to say every time somebody just reached their hands back, I'm like, oh yeah, that's 80 something. But okay, I got you. All right, for my question, we talked about UConn earlier in the show, and former UConn center Donovan Clingan was one of my favorite players coming out the draft, and I just want to ask you, Nick, if you could tell me how many field goal attempts Donovan Clingan shot his freshman year at Connecticut. This is a straight number.
There's a decimal though, right?
No, this is straight
just
number.
Total.
Yes. So now you can get within one.
Man.
I made it even easier on you. Total field goal attempts in the whole year.
We counting the tournament?
Yes, tournament is included.
Okay, so he probably played they won the national championship. So he probably
and
played.
He was the backup center to Adama Sanogo.
Yep. Probably scored 8 a game or 10 a game. Shot free throws. He played 30 games in a season, or high 20s, maybe 30s, plus the extra 8 games. So around 40 games. I'm going to use my calculator real quick. I'm not a math guy. If I try to do it in my head, I'm going to mess it up.
Yeah, no, I got you. And I will say, just for the slightest of hit, he shot more his sophomore year than his freshman.
I figured.
Just slight, just the very slightest hint possible.
I'm going to go 234.
234?
Yeah.
Final answer, sir?
Final answer.
That is incorrect. Very incorrect. Donovan Clingan, his freshman year at UConn, shot 171 field goal attempts. And that was mostly because
one of the higher
he was the backup center. And on top of it, UConn this freshman year did not give him the ball in post-ups a lot.
He was just rim running.
He was just rim running.
I had him at 5 field goal attempts per game. I probably should have gone lower.
I'll let you do a random guess of how many he had his sophomore year.
234.
291.
Oh, okay, it's a big jump. Jeez.
He went from 170 to 291, which now they started giving him the ball. 291. But I was actually surprised that he had very few field goal attempts.
Yeah.
And I had to do that one because all the other ones it wouldn't have been as good of a stat. But yes, 171 field goal attempts his whole freshman year, which I don't know if maybe he didn't play that much to start the year.
He didn't play a ton.
He was All-American, so I'm guessing
he was an All-American his freshman year. Or
no, McDonald's out of high school.
Oh, yeah, but you got Sanogo, dude. Sanogo was a beast.
True. That's true. And I would expect it, my boy to do well. But that is it for the final question. The score is still 0-0. Hopefully we do better next time. Yeah.
Hopefully. But folks, that is our show. For my man Heem here, I'm Nick, aka Slim Dookie. That's Big Hoop Gurus. Of course, follow us both on our individual channels, but follow us on social media as well to watch our clips. I mean, even if you listen to the show, you want to relive the best parts of the show and experience a Heem edited clip, by the way. They're next level stuff right there. Follow us at Real Hoop Hours Podcast on Instagram, TikTok. If you're watching on the YouTube, subscribe, like the video, hit the bell for notifications. If you're listening on Spotify, leave a review, rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, the whole shebang. We're on all those places, but we appreciate you listening. For all the sickos and time wizards out there, stay tuned for the next one.
Peace.